everyone. Happy Labor Day weekend. I'm Paul the Nitro Skivers, and welcome to this special Labor Day 2-day extravaganza for the classic match of the week. Today, I promised you 6. Well, I decided to change my mind and give you 7. That's right, 7 classic matches for the first part of our 2-day Labor Day weekend marathon. So let's get started, shall we? All these videos are over in the favorite section on my channel, the Rest 101 channel. We'll begin off, of course, we'll go back to first matchup takes us back to 1978 in Hawaii, as the Pacific Coast Heavyweight Championship is on the line, as the champion, Pat Patterson, who would later on, a year later, to become the very first Intercontinental Champion, defends his title against the Wildfire, Tommy Rich, who was 3 years removed from becoming the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. At this time, Tommy Rich was on the rise in the Memphis territory and was ready to move on to Georgia Championship Wrestling, and was on an extended vacation in Hawaii, so to speak, working for Peter Maivia's Polynesian Championship Wrestling along with Pat Patterson, who at that time just came off a reign as AWA World Tag Team Champions with Ray the Crippler Stevens. By the way, check out the commentary. It is of the High Chief himself, Peter Maivia, and this is courtesy of the Wicked Buzz Productions channel. Next up, we go to the Crazy Luke 111 channel, and we go back to June 13, 1985, a double title match at the Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium in Nagoya, Japan, as both the World Wrestling Federation and the IWGP Heavyweight Championships were on the line. A classic rivalry from Japan, as Antonio Inoki goes one-on-one with Mr. Ichiban, which means Mr. Number 1 himself, the incredible Hulk Hogan. Now, 2 years earlier, Hogan beat Inoki to become the very first IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Inoki regained that belt a year later from Hulk Hogan. This was the rubber match between these two men. Both titles are on the line, by the way. Attended at ringside was Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Next up, from the Spandito channel, we go back to the summer of 1983 at the Philadelphia Spectrum. World Wrestling Federation title is on the line as Bob Backlund, the All-American Boy, defends his title against one of the most unusual and highly dangerous wrestlers to ever grace the WWF ring back in 1983, George, the Animal Steel, managed by the Hollywood fashion plate, Classy Freddie Blassie. This was a very exciting and interesting matchup from the Spectrum in 1983. Next up, we'll go back to 1976, courtesy of MJO2 Pro Channel in Tampa, Florida. The United States Tag Team titles were on the line in a rare good guy versus good guy tag team match, as Jack and Jerry Briscoe challenged the United States Tag Team Champions, the Gator, Steve Kern and Mike Graham. Those were two of the best teams in the state of Florida at that time, and these two teams went at it for the United States Tag Team titles. And this was a clip that was shown on Championship Wrestling from Florida the week after the match took place. And it was a fantastic matchup, to say the least. Next up, we go up to Georgia Championship Wrestling in Atlanta in September of 1983. Courtesy of the Jelly Beans 178 channel, as the Hands of Stone Ronnie Garvin challenges the Iron Sheik for the World Television Title Trophy. Of course, the Iron Sheik at this time was a member of the Legion of Doom, managed by Precious Paul Ellering. The Legion of Doom included, of course, the Road Warriors and Jake the Snake Roberts, as well as the Spoiler at this particular point in time. The Sheik, of course, the World Television Title Trophy holder. The man at that time also drove Dick Murdoch out of Georgia Championship Wrestling in a loser lead town match the previous month. So the Sheik was on a roll against Ronnie Garvin. And next up, we go to the Regal channel from Shreveport, Louisiana and Mid-South. Championship Wrestling around 1980 as Bob Orton Jr., Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., at that time the Mid-South Mississippi State Champion, teaming up with the King, the self-proclaimed King, Carl Fergie, to take on the world-class Championship Wrestling's American Champion at the time, Kerry Von Erich, and Jim Garvin, who would later become Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. This was a great tag team match involving those two teams, and it was a standby match according to the commentator, the legendary Doyle King. And finally, to end out the first day of this two-day Labor Day marathon here on the Classic Match of the Week here on the Nitro Corner, we go back to the T72 Fins channel and another edition of Georgia Championship Wrestling, this time from 1980 as the National Heavyweight Champion, the Mongolian Stomper, with his manager. I think his name is Mr. Clark, or Mr. Buddy Clark, I think his name is. Name escapes me for the moment, as the Mongolian Stomper defends challenges Steve Olsenowski for the National Television Championship. This was a pretty exciting match from Georgia Championship Wrestling. And that is it for day one of our two-day Labor Day marathon. Next up, tomorrow, 7 more classic matches courtesy of this two-day Labor Day Classic Match of the Week marathon. Until then, I'm Paul the Nitro Skyler saying Happy Labor Day, everybody. Enjoy the matches. See you next time. So long, everybody.